You're with NewsMakers as we wrap up the sporting year for 2009. We are with Marg Foster, Bryan Ashby and Leslie Murdoch. Well, it was arguably our nation's most exhilarating sporting high of the year, beating Bahrain to book a date with the FIFA World Cup finals. And just as it was a generation ago that the All Blacks were last crowned world champions, it was also a generation ago that we were last at the FIFA World Cup, give or take 5 years or so. How big is this, Bryan?
Oh, huge. Look, it's the biggest sporting event in the world, bar the the Olympics. They're bigger than the Olympics, aren't they? The Football World Cup. It's tremendous. It is the world game. If you're not a part of it, well, essentially you're a nothing in the sporting world. Football is the world game, no question. Look, it's magnificent, and the game's been crying out for it here for so long. It is. The numbers, the playing numbers here are huge. The viewerships on Sky following English Premier League. The A-League is growing in popularity, and they get good gates across the Tasman. I think it's just the best thing that could happen for the sport.
Our road to South Africa was a bit easier than the road to Spain in '82. Should that detract from the scale of this achievement?
Oh, I haven't even thought about that. I mean, it's hard anyway, isn't it, to even get there. For little old New Zealand to be in the World Cup of football, it is just amazing. And when you think the credibility, it's taken a long time for New Zealand to be educated that football actually is a global game, and that they're now going in behind it like they did at Westpac Arena that wonderful Saturday night.
You were there, right?
I was.
Had you ever experienced a crowd in New Zealand like that?
Not like that. I mean, I was lucky enough to go to the Olympics in '84 and walk into the Coliseum. Over 90,000 people there, but they weren't all cheering like that night in Wellington. And walking up on the concourse to get into the stadium, and everybody in their groups and their apparel, their wonderful creative white, of course, the white out, but the chants, and it was just wonderful to be part of. I mean, we were hugging absolute strangers by the end of the night and doing lots of other strange things.
That's the usual.
Drinking too much.
That's a usual Saturday night for you, isn't it?
Oh, it was
that was
just
before the football started.
It was just amazing that you started early, you finished late. It was great.
How excited are you, Marg?
Well, I think the good thing is the opportunity for those players that are going to go to the World Cup. Imagine that on a world stage. You know, it's a good time to be a footballer in terms of professional contracts and, you know, paving the way. I mean, Ryan Nelson, I mean, he's been a legend, and hopefully if we can get some more players overseas playing and just getting exposure. All they have to do is play well against a particular team, the country that they're up against, and how many people are going to be watching that. I mean, it's pretty cool.
Obviously, the national body has a lot of moolah to play with. Do you think the game will grow on the back of this? Will Football New Zealand take the opportunity to capitalise?
It already is.
Yeah.
You know, they've just put academies down in Auckland, Wellington and Christchurch. I mean, the infrastructure in and around the sport now has been growing for 10 to 15 years. The number of young players now outstrips rugby in terms of numbers at under 12 level. And I mean, I don't think we can worry about what happened in '82 when they didn't capitalise. Part of that problem was that the New Zealand public didn't believe. So that was convincing them. But in terms of playing numbers, etc., I think they're already down the right path.
Yeah.
And a great story, I have to say, after that match in Wellington, coming back on a little propeller-driven plane from Wellington to Christchurch, here's Ryan Nelson in that departure lounge 12 from Wellington, flanked by his parents, busy, no one knew who he was, he looked clean-shaven even though he'd only had 1 hour's sleep apparently, hopped on the plane, no one knew anything who he was after that fantastic night. I was lucky enough to get him to sign my match tickets and things like that, but here he is flying to Christchurch on this little plane that gets landed at the most deepest, darkest part of Christchurch Airport, and has to walk through this tin shed to get in to get his luggage, you know, just thinking from this wonderful Saturday night to that.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Switching codes, netball, it's been a very interesting year. Would you agree, Marg, that the traditional duopoly between New Zealand and Australia in netball, that's over when it comes to supremacy?
Yeah, I think that's over now. I think I think Jamaica's actually come into the party as well. Like in particular with Australia and New Zealand both recording losses against Jamaica. I think they're going to be a force to be reckoned with. And I've been doing some work over in the Caribbean, not in Jamaica but near Jamaica, and they've got some really good stuff going. High performance planning. I think New Zealand's on track to retain their gold medal. I think there was some really good stuff in terms of, same thing what Leslie mentioned about the All Blacks with team lineups. We're developing a really good lineup, and I think Waimara Matamaru down in the defensive end has just, you can really tell that she's stamped her kind of her coaching prowess on the Ferns and their capabilities. I think we're on track for a win next year.
Is our shooting circle in better health now than it was 12 months ago, Leslie?
I think we were growing depth there all the time. What I'm encouraged about, and further to what Marg said, is the coaching personnel that they're getting to assist Ruth Aitken. We've got Waitamanu there. You can see in the background Lynn Gunson, Tracy Fair with all her high development roles and everything. They're getting the right people there, aren't they, Marg, in areas where they need it.
Yeah, and Belinda Collins coming for the shooters as well.
Right.
So that encourages me that they will get those parts that we focus on so greatly, because there are other parts of the game that are more important than the shooting, and you've got to get the ball there.
Yeah.
I think it's Marg talking about Waitamanu being in there. I think one of the things that's been a little bit noticeable this year is there's a bit more of a harder mental edge there. They haven't necessarily got the results, but the way they have reacted after games, even when they've won them, there's just a wee bit of a toughening up, a wee bit of maybe losing a bit of that powder puff sort of edge about them, and long term that's got to be good for them too, I think.
Sure. By the way, Irene van Dijk, will the Coen Games be her swan song, or do you think she's going to stick it out for the next World Champs?
I think she'll stick it out until the next World Champs, but you know, you never know. But she's kind of like, she's just a netball diva.
Yeah.
Like she's pretty amazing as an athlete, and in her role, like I've known her for I don't even know how many years. Geez, did I even play with her? But she's never been injured. Like, she's never had a major, or even might be a sore finger, but she's just really, she's a guru.
It's disappointing, Mike. People, you know, when she has an off game, people really climb into her. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't see any alternative really pushing her big time to take that role.
Yeah.
You know, everyone has the odd off day, but she's changed her game since she's come here and been forced to change her game and adapt and so on over the years. I have total respect for her.
Her off game is like someone's 100% game anyway. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, if you're measuring her on off game of 70% shoot rate, like, you know, she's normally in the 90s.
My hunch is Julie Coney wouldn't do much better.
No, I suspect not. Julie Coney, she's had some harsh things to say.
She's a wing defence, goal defence.
She's been a very loud critic too.
Well, my gosh, Irene van Dijk is the Silver Ferns in a nice way. I mean,
yes.
Look, we have got young ones coming through. Paula Griffin, she actually really surprised me. She had some really good games away against England and Australia.
Okay, in a moment we'll talk cricket and we'll look ahead to 2010. Do stay with us.